100 naira. Blue is for the 50 naira. And I think green is for the, if I remember, is for the 200 naira. Now those colors don't follow that particular, narrative. Now they're now the 1,000. Let's just take the biggest, the 1,000 naira note. As you know, is now wearing the garb of the 50 naira note. Maybe not exactly, maybe not precisely, but we've been told that these particular notes are mightily difficult to tamper with, aka forge. And I suppose that's the whole point of it. Maybe we'll talk about that as well, because I suppose the CBN, raising the interest rate is a problem. The benchmark interest rate has been raised by 100 basis points, and now we're looking at 16.5%. We'll talk about this. One of our guests is Mr. Oladotun Mabinuri, economist and policy analyst. So good morning to you, Mr. Mabinuri. Good morning, Mr. Mabinuri.
Good morning, sir. Great to be here.
Okay, great.
Good morning, sir. I can hear you, sir.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll take a report first on this matter, and then we'll come back to studio and we'll start talking about it.
The Monetary Policy Committee pushed up key lending rates by 1.5% at its last meeting in September, and it has once again increased it by 1% at its just concluded meeting. The committee feels its decision at the last meeting was beginning to yield desired results as inflation is gradually beginning to moderate. It feels holding is not right at the moment, considering an expected rise in spending during the Christmas season as well as the forthcoming elections. The loosening option is not desirable too, as it will undermine gains already seen from previous monetary policy decisions, thereby leading to a more aggressive rise in inflation. It therefore chose to tighten by 1% while leaving other parameters unchanged.
CBN staff projections showed that the economy is expected to remain on a path of sustained positive growth, given the expected strong performance during the fourth quarter of 2022 and steady rebound in economic activities. Members noted with concern the persisting uptick in inflation for the 9th consecutive month, with headline inflation year-on-year rising to 21.09% in October 2022 from 20.77% in September 2022, an increase of 0.32% points.
The Apex Bank says its redesigned Naira notes will be unveiled by the President at the Federal Executive Council meeting on Wednesday, and adds that the deadline to stop the usage of old currencies will not be extended.
Indeed, we are no longer waiting till December 15th to begin to unveil and begin to release the new notes. By the special grace of God, tomorrow, which is the 23rd of November 2022, the President has graciously accepted to unveil the new currencies, and the new currencies will be unveiled tomorrow.
The perennial floods seen this year have grossly affected farmlands, with many worried it will badly impact the Anchor Borers program. The Apex Bank, however, says it will continue to support farmers through its interventions and engage them aggressively in dry season farming to cushion effects of the production shortfall. It is also hopeful grains like rice and maize in the strategic reserves will help moderate food prices. Domestic output growth remains positive, and the committee urged the monetary and fiscal authorities to continue to align efforts for the benefit of economic growth and development. Lara Folarin, TVC News, Abuja.
Okay, so you saw there a report from 2 days ago or so. That was the central bank governor speaking about, in the future. But of course, all of that is now done with. He was saying that it is going to be unveiled, but it has been since unveiled, as you know. So there are more recent reports about that particular story. But it does, give us some sort of basis. And I had said earlier that one of our guests this morning is Mr. Oladotun Mabinuri, economist and policy analyst. So coming over to you now, Dotun, how significant is this? That is, in particular, speaking about the interest rate hike to 16.5%. what does this portend for businesses? Because I was reading somewhere that this was supposed to reassure businesses even better and also stem, as it were, the inflationary spiral.
Okay, thank you for having me once again, Uncle Yori. It's great to be here once again. And then good morning, Nigerians.
Thank you.
To start with, let me try and then break down some of these terminologies.
Sure. For non-technical monetary people.
Economists.
All we know is have money in our pocket, but there are a lot of technicalities around this one. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Exactly. So when they say MPR, that monetary policy rate, otherwise called minimum discount rate, it is the rate at which CBN lends money to commercial banks. That's the cost of borrowing of commercial banks from CBN. So CBN also lends to commercial banks. So the rate at which they borrow from CBN is what we call MPR, that is monetary policy rate. So if the rate increases, automatically it increases the rate at which commercial banks gives loans to the public. So, and then when we say basis points, 100 basis points simply means 1% interest rate. Indeed. So when CBN governor said the MPR was increased by 100 basis points, it means they actually increased by 1%. So as at the last MPC that they had, it was 15.5%. Then they increased by 100 basis points, which is by 1% to become 16.5%. So the implication of this is that...
I'm sorry, sorry to interrupt you. This is the highest that it has been since 2001, I'm learning.
Yes, sir, in the last 21 years. Yes, sir, that's very right, sir. So the essence, actually, theoretically speaking, we always say that inflation should be below the MPR, because one of the ways of combating inflation. But as I speak right now, inflation is over 21%. So does that mean that CBN will increase cost of borrowing to more than 21%? That is the rate at which commercial banks borrow from CBN. And we should also not be ignorant of the fact that the commercial banks will still add their own profit. So if they are borrowing at 16%, if they add 10% to it, that means the public, for instance, will be borrowing at the rate of 26.5% from commercial banks. So all this make cost of loanable fund more too expensive. And CBN embarking on this at this time, for me, it is a theoretical way of solving a practical problem. So as I said,
okay, wait a minute. I like the way you put that. Sorry, Doctor, I'm going to come back to you. You said you look at this from your point of view as a theoretical way to solve a practical problem. Maybe I'll come back and pick you up on that. But let me also use the opportunity to introduce Mr. Ambrose Omodian. He's a financial market analyst. Thank you very much for making time for us this morning, Ambrose.
Hello. Can I hear you? Can you hear me?
Hello, Ambrose. Good morning,
Mr. Ambrose. I can hear you.
Ambrose, we just said
good morning.
Good morning, Ambrose.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay. All right. So thank you for joining us. We're just learning that the Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN voted back on Tuesday to raise the raise to 16.5%, the highest it has been. The rate which we've just been hearing from Dotun is the rate at which CBN loans to banks. Now, what does this portend? Because I was hearing, and I'd like an explanation on how this is going to reassure businesses. Did you hear me, Ambrose?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, when it comes to... Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, when it comes to rate hike anywhere in the world, it has two sides of the coin. Once rate is hike anywhere, they are bound to go call flow of fund, giving one instrument to the other, and at the same time, cost of fund will also increase. These are the two things. And for the cost of fund, for the private sector, it becomes a very kind of a tightening corner for them, because the cost of borrowing will be high, and that also discourage expansion. And that's why most times when it comes to price stability management of central bank of any country and job creation, you need to balance the two, because once you increase the interest rate, we are about to create what we call contraction. And especially what is happening now globally, I think what CBN did yesterday on Tuesday was also in line of the aggressive rate hike across the globe. But the good thing here is that, look at our own economy. Because CBN want to control inflation, and this inflation is not just cause liquidity push inflation. This is cost push inflation, and that is why they're also taking another dimension of kind of redesigning naira so that they can all those money that are outside the bank cover to also come back to this, so that they're able to use policy to control inflation. But as we speak now, because of imported inflation, because of cost push inflation, rate hike alone cannot solve the problem of inflation in Nigeria. But it's a good news that they said in the last 3 months, despite the year-on-year, we're seeing inflation moving to the north direction. We're seeing a month-for-month decline for the which also kind of encourage them to slow down in terms of not being the 150 basis point they did previously. But in that direction, investors or business owners are also going to rethink their business, because CBN said before now that the non-performing loan of the banks has remained a bit heavy for them, according to them. But with continuous hiking rate, most of the private sector organizations might start defaulting for them to reach the banks. So I believe that the banks also have fortified themselves with their risk management to balance things. For anywhere, any day, where there's a hike, there's always cost of funds on the high side, and that also slows the economy. But because of the priority of Nigeria and election around the corner, I believe that in the nearest time, the CBN or the multiple companies to start also stepping down their interest rate so that the economy can have a direction. As we speak,
all right, I got to come in now. I beg your pardon, Ambrose. Thank you very, very much. I got to come in now because I've got to go on a quick break. Do please stay with us. We'll be right back.
You and your hair go through a lot. The heat, rain, chaos. It's a non-stop war against total breakdown. But just like you, your hair can stay strong no matter what. Mega Growth Break Free Daily Leave-In Strengthener for all hair types is infused with a unique blend of natural oils and conditioning proteins that helps protect your hair. Mega Growth Break Free, your daily defense against breakage.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Honey, what time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking.
The Monetary Policy Committee pushed up key lending rates by 1.5% at its last meeting in September, and it has once again increased it by 1% at its just concluded meeting. The committee feels its decision at the last meeting was beginning to yield desired results as inflation is gradually beginning to moderate. It feels holding is not right at the moment, considering an expected rise in spending during the Christmas season as well as the forthcoming elections. The loosening option is not desirable too, as it will undermine gains already seen from previous monetary policy decisions, thereby leading to a more aggressive rise in inflation. It therefore chose to tighten by 1% while leaving other parameters unchanged.
CBN staff projections could show that the economy is expected to remain on a path of sustained positive growth, given the expected strong performance during the fourth quarter of 2022 and steady rebound in economic activities. Members noted with concern the persisting uptick in inflation for the 9th consecutive month, with headline inflation year-on-year rising to 21.09% in October 2022 from 20.77% in September 2022, an increase of 0.32 percent points.
The Apex Bank says its redesigned Naira notes will be unveiled by the President at the Federal Executive Council meeting on Wednesday, and adds that the deadline to stop the usage of old currencies will not be extended.
Indeed, we are no longer waiting till December 15th to begin to unveil and begin to release the new notes. By the special grace of God, tomorrow, which is the 23rd of November, 2022, the President has graciously accepted to unveil the new currencies, and the new currencies will be unveiled tomorrow.
The perennial floods seen this year have grossly affected farmlands, with many worried it will badly impact the Anchor Borrowers program. The Apex Bank, however, says it will continue to support farmers through its interventions and engage them aggressively in dry season farming to cushion effects of the production shortfall. It is also hopeful grains like rice and maize in the strategic reserves will help moderate food prices. Domestic output growth remains positive, and the committee urged the monetary and fiscal authorities to continue to align efforts for the benefit of economic growth and development. Lara Folarin, TVC News, Abuja. The Monetary Policy Committee pushed up key.
It's one of those days, and we do apologize. We've cocked it up twice in a row now. That was the same report you saw earlier. But quickly darting back for cover now onto, the subject matter of CBN raising the interest rate. Among the reasons we've heard is to, tighten the rein on inflation. And my two guests, Mr. Oladotun Mabinori and Mr. Ambrose Omodian on the program. Now, we've heard from both of them, and I wanted to return to Oladotun Mabinori because you were saying, especially against the backdrop of this whole matter about it would be reassuring our businesses, and you had said that you see this whole effort, I don't know which aspect of it, but I think, yes, we're talking about the jacking up of the interest rate. You see it as did you say a theoretical solution to a practical problem? Would you like to explain that, Dotun?
Oh, okay. Thank you once again, Yori. I said it's a theoretical solution to a practical problem in the sense that theoretically, as I said, we always say that inflation should be below MPR, or MPR should be above inflation rate, or at least it should be at par. But as you have it right now, our inflation is currently at 21.09, while CBN just increased MPR from 15.5% to 16.5%. It's still below. So then jacking it up, as we said, is increasing the cost of loanable fund. That is, the cost of borrowing has increased. Then investors will surely find it difficult accessing funds for expansion. So what I said is a theoretical problem to solving a theoretical solution to solving a practical problem is the problem we have in Nigeria, the type of inflation we have in Nigeria is actually not a demand pull inflation. You only use MPR to tame inflation, to rein in inflation, when what you are having, as some countries have, which CBN, I feel CBN is copying, is that they are going through what they call demand pull inflation, where there is too much money in the economy chasing field goods. That's when you mop up funds, you mop up excess liquidity, because increasing interest rates is like they're mopping up funds in the economy. So, but what we have visually in Nigeria is what they call cost push inflation, as as my other colleague said the other time. So, it's what they call cost push inflation, where Mr. Ambrose, sorry. So, where inflation is as a result of cost of production increasing. And how do we do that? Look at cost inflation. If you check most of the products that we consume today, most of the finished goods, they always have their roots, about 70% of their raw material coming from the soil. That is, when agricultural produce when there is an increase in the cost of agricultural products, of course, that would translate to whatever goods that we want to buy. So when in the case where farmers cannot go to farm, there is decline in their output, and a case where the so-called anchor borrower is not working. What do we have? We will have what they call food inflation will increase, and once food inflation increases, it will drive the It will drive the inflation itself. So for me, what CBN should have done is to go after the cost push inflation, to go after the cost of production, and by reducing, not increasing it again, because by increasing cost of borrowing, you are increasing cost of doing businesses again. And consumers, producer will still come transferring this to final consumers. So before you know it, inflation will still be tamed. Okay, look at it in the last MPC. They increased the MPR by 150 basis points, by 15%, by 150, that's 1.5%. So they increased from 14% to 15.5%. So what do we have in the last 3 months? Inflation has been rising.
Actually, they say from 11. I beg your pardon. They say from 11.5% to 15%.
So, no, I was even referring to the last one, from 15.5% to the 16.5%.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the last. That's it. So even as they are increasing, inflation is still rising. So it simply means that it's not taming inflation as we want it. So why can't we do another? Because we can't continue doing this, the same thing the same way and expecting a different result. So why can't we use another approach by going after the real cost of inflation that we have in this country, which is what they call the cost push inflation, by reducing cost of doing business in Nigeria, by making the environment more. Okay, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. One second, Ambrose. I wonder, how you see that, particular submission that well, according to Dotun, this could be a theoretical solution to a practical problem. About what? 21.09% in October, and the month before that, 20.77%. Neither of these are any good. But if you were to look at this, and we are hearing that somehow the new notes that have been unveiled would have some sort of a role in dampening our technical financial woes. Please weigh in on that and explain that if you can.
Actually, can you just make it very simple? I'm not hearing your voice is very tiny. Don't speak up again so I can hear you.
Oh dear, I think it's at your end because but you're only describing what you hear. The voice is very low. I was saying that I wanted you. Did you hear? Okay, did you hear Dr. Yori?
Yes, I heard him very clear. I'm hearing you. I heard him very clear.
Okay, but since inflation is now cruising at somewhere around 21.09%, up from the previous month at almost 21%, 20.77%. But when we talk about money, even 0.01% is very, very important. Since that is the where inflation is, now I wanted you to sort of weigh in on how this particular interest hike, combine it with the change in the currency design, how all of that is going to have a dampening effect on inflation, and more importantly, well, equally as importantly, favor businesses, favor investors.
Yeah, I would say that we start from the Naira design. The Naira design will not have immediate effect as we speak now. Like my colleague has just said, that we're having a cost push inflation, not just liquidity push inflation or demand push inflation. Because if you have a liquidity push, or then you can say, let me hike my rate to mop up the excess in the system. But now you are in the era of cost push. That means you need to go beyond the normal theoretical strategy or move that they are just doing now. But the good thing is that why they are doing Naira design is for us also to mop up all those funds that are outside the bank offer, because that will make the policy of any government to be more effective. That is why it might take time. For this, I also way toward to reset the economy. For me, that is for that. But for interest rates on the business sector and investors, anywhere in the world where there's a high interest rate, it's slow down business, I've said earlier. But investors and business have to navigate through this to remain in business. But at the end of the day, it is done on the central bank of any domain to also look at their policies and see how they can also do it so that they can start driving expansion. Because the two rules I've said earlier is for you to manage price stability and at the same time create employment. And while employment is when the economy is booming, there's expansion that people can employ more. But when there is contraction, people are bound to lay off, and that also leads to a recession. And that is why the World Bank and I have been thinking this that every the global central banks of the world will rethink this strategy. And that is why we are looking the world for Naira design so that campaign fine. But that will not have immediate effect now, but it's a good step in that direction for CBN. For me, it's a development. But for those that are this interest rate will affect the public sector and also investors, yes, it will company for a long time, you have to also bear with the CBN why actually, because you are in business to make profit. It's not for you to manipulate to kind of navigate through it and also remain in business. Because if you say because they increase interest rate to from 15.5 to 16.5, yes, 100 basis point is a bit high. I was expecting to see 50 basis point because I know that as far as inflation is still keeping on the northward movement, you don't expect any central bank to start kind of decline in terms of their rate adjustment or try to go into easing. But now, what the interest is still on the high side. What they did was that I believe that investors down here, you can see since the adjustment on Tuesday, look at the activities in the financial market, try to reset again to adjust in to the new 100 basis point adjustment. But I believe once it's done, we can now see the impact going to the future. But if you look at, like my colleague said, the last almost 100 basis point adjustment they did from the first 11.5% to almost 15.5, that's about 400 basis point increase. For this additional 100 and 55%. So I see that most sectors of the economy, some benefited from that increase, while some are still not seeing their wound because their cost of business the cost of fund is that operating Nigeria is very this time very hectic for any business. But going to navigate it until the global economic find direction. I'll tell you, any dependent economy on importation, this is what really suffer because whatever is coming to Nigeria, because there's already distortion across the globe.
Okay, then I want to thank you very much, Ambrose. I want to really appreciate you making time for us. I hear that you have to be off, so I wanted to thank you very much for joining us on the program and giving us the benefit of your insight. Ambrose Omodion, financial market analyst. Still with Oladotuma Binori, we're still together, and indeed we'll open the phones as well. Coming back to the whole problem, let's leave the technical aspects, important as they are. You can expect Tolu Ogunjobi, on his program, is going to go really deep, dive deeply in on it. But Dr. I was wondering, the way in which this change of money is really going to help. I understand that there's so much money out of the banks that are wherever they happen to be. We've seen social media videos of money crumbling from being improperly stored wherever they were stored, trailer loads, if those are not gimmicks, deteriorating, money just disintegrating. God knows how long ago those ones have been buried, wherever they have been buried. So what is the technical import of changing this money, changing the design so that it will no longer be legal tender after a certain time? All monies that are out, that are not already in the bank, probably these ones are now wasted, but the banks are working round the clock to help whoever comes up for the exercise, oblige them. Even up on Saturdays, I understand some, if not all, the banks are going to be working like that. But tell me the import of trying to, of this particular move, cancelling out the former notes so that beyond a certain time, those currencies become worthless. Well, what's the import of all of that?
Yeah, okay, sir. Thank you once again. One of the primary objectives of Central Bank of any nation is to what they call money supply management, to manage the amount of money in circulation. And CBN doing this at this time is actually not doing this is not out of place. It's one of their responsibilities. But the timing for me is what is an issue for me.
The timing is what you have an issue with. Okay, let me come back to you so you can explain that a bit more. But in the meanwhile, Ada from Jos has joined us. Good morning, Ada.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. Good morning to your guest there. Ada, calling from Jos, Plateau State. Mr. Yori, our risk profile is very high. Unless we deal with the harsh economic policies, no investor will come to invest, no matter what the message tells us on this increase in the rates for the commercial banks. As far as I'm concerned, it's ridiculous, And again, so you can imagine, Nigeria, we are now faced with multi-dimensional poverty. education, nil, the health, nil, any capacity, very low, mode of transportation, nil, food insecurity. So what do you want us to do? All these your economic terms doesn't make sense to us. And when I go to the market, everything increases every day. Then we should move away from being a raw-based economy to a processing-based economy. I don't need any today economists to know that. This will bring about industrialization, which will in turn create jobs and also enable us to be able to export finished products, which will earn us more foreign exchange. So I don't know. Mortality and economics, can't I follow the stories, the trend, what is happening in other places? Look at Ukraine. There's a war going on there. But yet we are praying for them. We are on our knees because we need their grace. How did they do it? Is it rocket science? And, I just understand the policies we are having in this country. Changing the color of the naira now, how does it affect my life?
All right, then. Okay.
The color, and so what?
Okay.
Let's not do about this.
Okay, Ada, thank you very much for calling in. Dotun, would you like to continue, please? Because as you were saying, I guess there's a sense in which some of it is rocket science when you get into the technicalities of money. But really, it's a bit confusing. That is why you started off by saying that, look, let you try and deboogie all of these MPR, MPCs, and all of those inflation rates, which I thank you for. But to go to her question, you heard her opinion in terms of what this really means for investors coming in, that she doesn't feel anybody's going to be reassured. What would you say to that?
Okay. So as I was saying before the call, the wonderful submission from Mr. Ada came in. As you said, as you can see, we don't need even to study economics to understand some of these principles. So back to timing and then the reason CBN gave for the designing the money. It's one of their duties, as you said, one of their responsibilities to change or increase the quality or the securities in currency as time goes on. Between 5 to 8 years, every central bank of every nation does that. So, but the reasons that CBN gave here, they are too elementary to embark on this type of huge decision. For instance, they said to combat security, to combat insecurity. For me, that is a big slap on the face of our security agents in the country. So that means the DSS, the military, the paramilitary, and the likes, they don't know what they are doing. So we have to change currency so that the money that the kidnappers and the bandits have with them will change. So for me, they only change taxes. Tactics. We can't be saying that some things we can't be saying on here for the sake of not empowering them on how to claim their money. But if it is to combat this insecurity, which is one of the reasons why what CBN governor gave is like, we're changing money. In fact, it's a lost cause from the beginning at onset. And again, they also said there is too much money in circulation. And the question is, who is printing this fund in the last 5 years? If you check in 2015, the currency in circulation is about 1.64 trillion naira, and now it has increased to 3.23 trillion. So in the last 5 years, in the last 7 years, who was printing? It was CBN, which is what they call Ways and Means.
Indeed.
Can I
interject, please? Sorry, could I interject, please, to also take a call? But on the point you were making, we've made this point jocularly, but I don't know how serious it is. You always have mint notes on Saturdays and Sundays in Lagos, maybe other state capitals, for people who are going to spray it. So banks are colluding and selling money to these people, and then they keep on telling us there is no money. So we just are living in a very contradictory society. I don't know. The CBN governor knows it, the president knows it, the state governor knows it. Everybody's aware and turns the blind eye. Now the time has come, you're bringing all this tia money out. But in the meantime, Chidi in Kafanchan. Good morning, Chidi.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, the guests over there.
Yes.
It is an interesting thing while we watched the president yesterday unveiling the redesigned Naira notes. But the truth must be told, Uncle Yori, at this point in time. The redesigning of the notes without making the Naira more valuable and making the economy more valuable also for Nigerians would mean almost nothing. Therefore, I want to encourage or advise the Nigerian monetary policy makers to look inward to know how to make sure that the strength of the Naira we have is going to come up to meet up with other monies in the world.
Indeed.
And again, to make the economy of this country become stronger for the benefit of Nigerian businessmen and women, as well as foreign investors.
All right, then.
Thank you very much, and God bless Nigeria.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Chidi in Kafanchan. So Dr. Picking up on a strain of what he was saying, making the actual value of our currency, whatever color it bears, better than it actually is. Well, there were those who were being optimistic. Remember, the Naira had been in a mess against the dollar in recent times. I think the thing was nudging, what, almost 800, but then they say the Naira has gained a bit. So I don't know, you know, they say the Naira has gained a bit. But so as Chidi was saying in there, the important thing is to make sure that we do have value to this currency. And he's saying that this, he doesn't understand how this is going to be improving the value of the Naira note. But I think you were on this particular trend before I interrupted you. Please continue.
All right. So as I was saying, the reasons given by the CBN governor for changing the currencies are actually, for me, too elementary. In terms of insecurity, it has no, it's no brainer. Then again, if you also look at it, currencies are actually not designed to remain in the bank. In fact, banks don't make money by putting the money in their strong room. They make money by this money circulating in the society, which is what they call money velocity. Now, if you check the entire money supply, that is the M2, we have what they call M1 and M2 definition of money supply in any economy. That is in economy, sorry. That is the M1, the narrow definition, and the M2, the broad definition. So you check the M1 is currency circulation and demand deposit. That's our current account. Then the M2 is M1, that is currency circulation, demand deposit, savings, and other quasi money. When I say quasi money means those instruments that can be converted to cash, like your share certificate and the like. So check the M2. The total amount of the money supply in Nigeria is about 49 trillion naira. In fact, going towards 50 trillion naira now. But the currency circulation, the currency component of it is only 3.23 trillion, which if you do the ratio, you have about less than 7%. That's 6.7% ratio of currency circulation to the entire money supply. So if the government says that they want to control the amount of money circulation so that they can increase the potency of the monetary policy, for me, it's not adding up. Because
indeed, sorry to interrupt you, Doctor. Indeed, because as I was just receiving, the experts are saying that CBN apparently has failed in its efforts aimed at addressing inflation and the disparity in the foreign exchange market. That's an opinion. I'll seek your opinion.
So they have made they've made the foreign exchange market very profitable. They have given room for arbitrage to thrive. For instance, look at the margin between official exchanges and the parallel market, over 300 naira. So they have actually made it more profitable. And we know this is a simple economic sense. When there is profit is an inducement for supplier to come in. So that increase, that disparity is actually a way of bringing in arbitrage, bringing in the bureau de change. We call this a black market. We have actually normalized this in our country.
Indeed.
When you say something is black market, it's an underworld market.
Now
it's a market, it's an illegal market.
Sorry to interrupt you again, but I do believe we have a caller on the line. Do we have a caller? Is there a caller on the line? Joseph in Nasarawa. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
Thank you for calling in.
Thank you. Please, I want to talk on the increase in the MPR rate.
Okay. Okay.
So I think it's a policy somersault because we say we are encouraging ease of doing business. And you know that the most problematic factor in doing business in Nigeria is finance. That means that the interest rate will have to go up. And when interest rate goes up, then it will be difficult to investors to borrow, to do production, and then making it possible for people to buy those goods at a reasonable price. That's my contribution.
All right, then. Thank you very much indeed for contributing it. And Dr. let me come back to you with a further kind of a question. Look, there's something about, since we're using technical terminologies this morning, there's something you technical people talk about, refer to as the alignment between fiscal and monetary authorities in Nigeria. Is this a good thing as the president is wrapping up his administration? I don't know what you think about this present alignment. You know, is it of benefit, or is it just floating around? Give me your impression.
Okay. In economics, there's what we call ISLM analysis. That is the real sector, the alignment between the real sector and then when I say real sector, I mean the fiscal sector and then the monetary sector. So there should be a particular interest rate and the level of GDP, that is the amount of the volume of employment of resources in the economy that both of them should aim towards. So a case where the fiscal sector and the monetary sector don't work in agreement, then there will be the kind of problem we're having in the country now. So imagine when CBN governor announced that there will be a change of currency, the Minister of Finance came in, who is the head of the fiscal sector, came in, I think a day or 2 days after, and said she was also reading it on the news that there will be a change of currency. That shows that there is a serious disharmony, there's a serious disunity between the two of them. And when the two sectors of the economy don't work together, we'll have the same problem we're having right now. So we are saying that the cost push, the type of inflation we have is what they call cost push inflation. So we should handle the cost of doing business in Nigeria. The fiscal sector, while the CBN will concentrate on the monetary sector, that is the demand pull inflation. Exactly. So it's like CBN now is working towards doing the monetary sector, that is the monetary solution to solve fiscal problem. So until both of them work together, there will be a problem. And as I said, the design of currency right now, for me, is more of political than economic reasons. In 1984, we have seen this before when the CBN governor...
Pardon, once again, I got to interrupt you, but luckily you understand our program, because it reminds me of Ada's contribution, that is this thing rocket science? Well, there's a sense in which it is rocket science. Here we're talking about technical aspects of it. But Mazi Okoroafo, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, I guess. You see, this issue of the CBN interest rate of 16.5%, the local industries are suffering it a lot. Because what I'm saying, if you listen to my brother last 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, Edison, the one who was complaining, that interest rate they see here in Nigeria is different from the one they give to foreigners. Foreigners benefit a lot more than Nigerian manufacturers. Why is this so? Because if the interest rate balances, go for it and the local manufacturers, it's bad, but they give discrimination to people that are from Nigeria, and that is why local manufacturers they find it very difficult to employ more staff. The area the CBN look into it is better for us. Even the man said they say to challenge anybody from CBN, NAFDAC and events in any television houses to prove his fact, because he has his own paper. So CBN should do the need, because it is the consumer that suffer all these interest rates. The pushers, they don't fast it. Because at the end of the day, the manufacturers, inclusive everything inside their products, the final consumer faces a lot of problems. That is why you see the rate of poverty in Nigeria continue increasing. CBN do the needful for our local manufacturers so that they will create job opportunity for Nigeria, make life comfortable for Nigeria, make product manufacturing in Nigeria cheap. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you very much for calling in. So, Dr. Well, this alignment, or shall I say misalignment, between fiscal and monetary authorities, one cannot but wonder if we're going to be making progress, really, or if it's a lot of motion and no movement.
So until both sectors agree to come together and work in unison, we shall be having the problem of inflation, unemployment. You can see the multidimensional poverty index being released recently.
Yes.
So and if you look at it, that means any moment from now, when they release unemployment figure, it will actually increase from the 33.33% that it is. Reason being that in economics, there's what we call mystery index. That's addition of inflation and unemployment rate. As we speak right now, inflation rate is about is 21.09.
Yes.
Unemployment is 33.33%. And the addition of the two will give us 55, about 50-something%. But from what the recent multidimensional poverty index being released, they said that about 63% Nigerians are miserable. Are below the poverty line. That's 133%, 133 million Nigerians. So if 63% is poverty index, which can also translate to what they call misery index, then inflation is about 21%. When you take 21% out of 63%, you'll be having about 40-something% left. So that means by the time they are releasing unemployment figure, as we speak right now, it will be above 40% or around 40%. That's a simple arithmetic. So the redesigning of Naira, how does that improve employment in Nigeria?
Well,
so
we're going to have to leave it there. I beg your pardon, Doctor. We're going to have to leave it there. That rhetorical question. All the experts, Ada, I'm reminded of Ada, is it rocket science? Well, all the people who are rocket scientists of our monetary and fiscal policy, they've come together, and this is what we have. I don't know, maybe, you're removing you, but maybe the rest of us don't really understand it. But then someone who is likely to understand it is Tolu Ogunjobi on his business program. No doubt he's going to be on that particular subject matter later on today. But I want to thank you very much, Dr. For Dr. Mabinori, economist and policy analyst, for, as it were, scratching the surface of it with us this morning. I don't know if you're going to be on Tolu's program, but for sure there's going to be somebody who indeed is equally as knowledgeable on this whole matter. So we can understand these colors that have changed. How is that helping, as our people say locally, so who he help? We're going to leave it there. We're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for being with us. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.
The World Cup season is here again, and you can almost feel the excitement in the air. The best national teams in the world will be battling it out to determine who lives the coveted FIFA World Cup trophy come December 18th, 2022. Wondering what each team's shadow looks like, where the seat in the standings, who will be playing who, and what to expect. We've got you covered with all the previews and reviews you need to stay right on top of everything. Qatar on FIFA World Cup Fans Special Show. Coming live on TVC News YouTube daily for 13 minutes, 15 minutes preview before the match, and 15 minutes review post-match of the day. Keep up with all the actions happening in Qatar with expert match previews and reviews from our seasoned sports pundits. And guess what? You also stand a chance to win loads of exciting prizes when you predict correctly the outcome of the match of the day. To participate in FIFA World Cup Fans Special, subscribe to TVC News YouTube channel. Enter your prediction in the comment section of the match of the day video. Use the hashtag FIFA World Cup Fans Special in your predictions. Finally, include the last 4 digits of your number with your predictions. Let's play!
Men do not like overconfident women.
Don't touch me without my permission.
I'm a playful guy, and I do get carried away sometimes.
You are selfish, manipulative, and you are a narcissist.
After all I've done for you.
What have you done for me?
She called me barren.
You know my mom doesn't know any better, right?
You say that now, but then when you see your mother, you start to act like you're deaf and dumb.
You were supposed to be more careful.
I've been.
Clearly not enough.
This campaign is brought to you by TVC Communication.
TVC News Adedoja Salamadini emerged winner of Lagos Reporting category at the 30th Diamond Awards for Media Excellence. As the isolation centers filled up and many Nigerians living in denial, Adedoja dared the odds to bring the dreaded COVID-19 reality to our living rooms. This is the story that resulted in the laurel at the Diamond Awards for Media Excellence, Lagos Reporting category for Adedoja Salamadini. TVC News Femi Akonde won the coveted prize of Reporter of the Year at the Nigerian Media Merit Award, which is the most prestigious media award in the country. His winning story is on the bravery of the Civilian Joint Task Force, a group of local militia in Maiduguri established to fight Boko Haram terrorists. TVC News senior correspondent Sharon Ijaso won Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism Award. Her investigative piece reveals how underage children find themselves engaged as child sex workers, either willingly or unwillingly, with sex trade largely going digital. Poverty, greed, Broken family structures, among others, have been identified as some of the drivers of the child sex trade in Nigeria. Congratulations to the news team who tell impactful stories. NMMA, DAME, and Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism Awards. TVC, first with